Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for coming by. If you're just visiting every now and then. Thank you for the messages at lostlikeMike@gmail.com. Appreciate those. The little setup is a little different today. Trying something to get organized, kind of to feel comfortable in my own space. A lot going on this week. I didn't have a lot of notes. I just figured I wanted to check in with everybody and see how everybody's doing. The big thing going on where I'm at, like, just to let you know before I get started, there's I live near an Air Force base, and there's supposed to be an air show, like with fighter jets, and yesterday I wasn't here, so I don't know how loud it got. I heard it got pretty loud in the area, just like low flying fighter jets in formation doing like aerial tricks and stuff. I guess I don't know what they're doing, whatever. But in case that starts up, I'll just make adjustments. My wife and daughter went yesterday. She said it was the most people she'd seen in one place, like, in a long time. She couldn't describe it. There was just tons of people all crowded, and then there was overcast, so there was like delays. It took hours to get started. I'm like, just describe. The only time I remember when I was a kid, I went to one of these aerial shows I think in this particular Air Force base, if I'm not mistaken. And the parking was so bad. I remember it was the cliche, like the hacky setup where, my parents were like, we're about to leave, so if you want to go to the bathroom, you need to go now. And I don't know how little I was, but I just remember being like, I'm good, let's go. And, thinking as a child does that, when you drive home, it's just a quick, jump in the car and go home. Anyway, I don't even know what I was thinking, to be honest. But what I do remember is being in this giant, long line to get out of not even having left the parking area. Not to say traffic on the roads or anything. I'm just leaving the parking lot. And it occurring to me that I needed to go super bad. And everybody thought it was just the funniest thing at first. Because, I'm like tearing up and like, I was like, it just came on all of a sudden. Please, I gotta, one way or the other, we're going to Tinkleville. And I remember they handed a bottle back to the back seat where I was, like a plastic bottle or whatever. I can't remember the details. Perhaps it was like a Gatorade size bottle, like a standard size, 20 ounces. I don't know. Anyway, there's something not important. I just remember, even as a child being like, you can't be serious, right? And, but I ended up attempting to go into this bottle, and, it hurts to try to stop, right? Like, I guess it did hurt at the time. I'm trying to talk about things that happened many years ago, but I just remember not being able to stop. And chaos ensues, whatever. But we were in that parking lot forever. So anyway, I don't like going to places like that, I guess. I guess we're unlocking like root reasons for not wanting to, to like things. Anyway, I don't know why that just popped in my head right now. But they had a blast. They saw a lot of different, they got to mess with a bunch of cargo planes and assorted like vehicles that they had on display, and I was, in typical me fashion, I was at a performance, not being able to be along for the ride. But I was happy that they got to do that. So if it starts up here in a minute and it interferes, then we'll make adjustments. I'll just stop and start later today or something. I don't know. Well, I did not know that note. I'm looking at my board to see the notes. I noticed there was a note on there, but I don't know how old that is, but what it says is it's talking about, I was outside doing my yard, maybe a week or two ago, and my neighbor across the street was out there talking to some guy who was walking his dog, and they were just chatting about, odds and ends. And he real briefly, I was switching to a weed whacker or whatever, weed eater. And as I'm transitioning, he wants to introduce me. So I'm like, hey, yo, what's up? And say hi. And then I'm doing this, and I'm overhearing what he's saying about me. And he was like, oh yeah, that guy, he takes real good care of his yard and he does a good job, blah, blah, blah. And he's paying me compliments to this other guy. And I'm playing it off, doing my bit. But it got me thinking, because like, I know it's external validation, but I'm telling you, just a small compliment. And I thought about it for days. I was just like, that something you're doing is being, noticed by others. Right. And, it's kind of silly for how thirsty people get to get that, that kind of, just attaboy sort of recognition. And why we need it in the first place. I was watching this one episode of, we talked about I'm almost finished with the series, Northern Exposure, where I think I'm on season 5 of 6 seasons, which, by the way, it's getting kind of like, I'm trying not to do this like fast forward thing in my mind where I think, well, that dude's dead, I'm sure that guy's dead, or that woman's dead. I hate doing that. But the show's 20 years old, and some of the characters and some of the guest characters are really old, and it pisses me off that I do that. But like, I would like to go back and watch Night Court, but most of the people that were on that show passed away. And so it's like, there's like, what's that, Larroquette, what's that guy's name? He's still alive. But, sometimes that invades my mind and I can't get it out of my head when I'm looking at a show. Anyway, I digress. I'll go back to what I was saying. So on this show, this episode of Northern Exposure, they talked about how Ed, who's playing like, who's like a shaman, right? It's kind of weird because he's been chosen as a shaman, right? Like, but he never really does any training for it necessarily. But so somehow in this episode, he goes to this like mythical like crossroads where he's fighting this bad entity that's in charge of like, there's one that haunts Ed that is like low self-esteem, and he like puts doubts in his head and says things that tries to get him to doubt himself. But then there's this other entity that's messing with this patient of Ed's, making her need external validation. She's a sports personality, and she needs to participate in the race. She needs to win. She wants to be in good favor with, these kids that named her athlete of the year. Um, anyway, I just thought it was kind of one of those situations where the universe is trying to get me to think about my own need for external validation. You know, it's funny. We were playing a show yesterday, as a matter of fact. It can kind of relate to that sentiment. And for some reason, every song was hitting. You know, my partner, my cousin, the guitar player, Vince, when he would play, people were clapping and cheering. People were coming up and saying that I had a great voice, and would you be willing to sing this or that song? I think you'd sound great. And all this positivity, right? I'm telling you, like, for just hours of this show, right? And then we play one particular song that's vocal centric, and it's a difficult song to sing. And I didn't do it bad. I did it fine in my mind. But it was the one song where when we finished, nobody clapped. And I'm telling you, screw all that 3 hours of cheering and hollering and positivity. One song, and I was just toast. Like, I mean, not toast, but I was just, that's all I could focus on. I was just like, and I even brought it up with Vince. I was like, dude, like, because sometimes you play an entire show and they don't clap. They're just eating their lunch and they don't care. And that's fine. Because, you know, like, I'll look at him and he'll look at me and we'll laugh and we'll be like, I thought it was good. And he'll be like, yeah, I thought it was good too. And we'll just, you know, take our tips and go home. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, like, yesterday we were getting a lot of tips, a lot of compliments, a lot of praise. And I looked at him and said, did I F it up? What's the cold shoulder for? And he's like, yeah, it had to be that song, right? It had to be that song that they want to stop clapping and stop participating. And like, maybe a song or two later, we're back up and everything's great. They're all, you know, yelling and hollering and back involved. I don't know what it was. Maybe, you know, the sports on the TV was at an interesting point. Maybe I did suck at that song. I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's so much easier to recognize and to acknowledge that seemingly negative experience, right? Because nobody ever said, hey, you suck, stop singing that song. It was more like, it's just like from one song, all right, clap, 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 and to this song we end and it's like crickets. Okay. I guess on to the next song if you like it. You know, we're trying to just play it off. And I mean, it's silly because when they were positive, it was overwhelmingly positive. It was ridiculously positive. It'd be like, you know, okay, I get it. You like that song. Good. All right. And I mean, I'm not saying in a negative way, like pompous, like, you know, all right, shut up already. You know, I get it. I'm good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, I mean, I know it was okay, but geez, you know, where were you all my life with that kind of, you know, overexpression of gratitude? Anyway, gratitude, and that's an interesting concept as well. I mean, I was watching another show where they were talking about, it was a retrospect, so they're looking back and saying, I never really let him know that I appreciate him, and I wish I did. And it was, and that was the sentiment being expressed. And I was thinking, man, like, how many times is that the instance? How is that what's going on? You know, will the people in my life ever really express their appreciation for the sacrifice or the things that I do? Or do I acknowledge the sacrifice of others? You know, But is it enough to know that you're doing it right? Like you're trying to give others that, I don't know. Maybe that's just a thought or a topic that comes up. Like when I'm in the orbit or the general orbit of funerals, you know what I mean? I didn't end up getting to go to my uncle's funeral. Just a lot of things were going on, and my daughter had that procedure and stuff, and I had made the promise before I made the connection of time, and there was just a lot going on that prevented me from going. But when you think about the things that people do while they're alive, and that they do not get acknowledged for, I don't think that was the case with this particular person. I'm just saying it's a thought that kind of comes into my mind, like, because often at funerals you do look back and think of all the positivity and the negativity, the things, your interactions with that person, and sometimes it's, wow, he was really cool people, and I don't know if I ever told him, or that kind of thought. And oh, I hear it. That's not too bad though. Did y'all hear that? If you're just listening, it sounded like an airplane going by, but that's not what was described to me. It was like walls shaking, rattling, low flying, loud jet engines. So we're looking for that. If that's the case, we'll make adjustments. That airplane passing. It's funny. I remember the first time that I was doing this conversation, this podcast with, I remember sitting here trying to do it during the day, and they were doing flybys. The fighter jets from the Air Force Base were doing like their it's escaping me the word I'm thinking of. They were doing their drills to get the they would do these circuits, and I remember stopping the recording several times, going, I need to put up soundproof walls because it's just too much, and now it's not. It's just background noise. Anyway, I was thinking about that the other day as well. We're at episode 91, and so my perspective has changed on doing this show. My son was talking to my mom. Wow, that's crazy. I flipped those. My mom was talking to a therapist about me doing this show, and how because I was explaining to her how this is what I consider my therapy in certain senses, and the therapist was saying how it is in a sense because I'm venting and I'm getting these things off my chest and I'm sharing them, so in that sense, I guess, they're saying, yes, it could be therapeutic. But if it's not, in other words, if you're putting all these thoughts out there and nothing's coming back to you, are you really, are you moving the dial further? Are you learning things about yourself or figuring things out? And I would argue, yes. Not in a schizophrenic sense where I'm like talking to myself and like, I think you're fine. Well, I certainly agree. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, there's many topics that I brought up on this podcast that in thinking about them and trying to elaborate and sort of kind of flush them out and give them dimension, I discover things about myself and I figure things out. And in that sense, it's positive. And I hope somewhere, somebody falls on an episode and finds something, but that's not really the be all end all of it, And I think in a way that's me just trying to make myself feel better for there not being like thousands of people listening. Although I don't know if my mind could handle that concept of anybody listening to it. So, I did want to talk briefly about, I feel like this part is kind of a confessional. There was an instance, and so forgive me, audience, for I have sinned. I mean, there was an incident the other day, and man, I really feel like I can't blame it on anybody else. I can't point it to any other external stimulus other than to say that everything was kind of going wrong in that moment. But I was the jerk. I was the bad guy in this story. I was driving. I had just washed my car. My wife was like, everybody had their car covered in like this dirty mud looking, dirty rain kind of, and my wife was like really adamant about me washing my car. And right at the last second, she says, and after you finish washing your car, you can pick up dinner and we can, sit down for dinner. And I thought, that's what, why you wanted me to do it right now, but, whatever. So I'm actually kind of in a positive mood after washing my car because it was very zen, like just losing myself in the task of cleaning my car, and I had a pocket full of change, so I was just detailing everything. I was buying towels to wipe the glass, and it was nice weather, and it was, I don't know, it started out bad because everybody was in the different slots, and I was trying to like wait for my turn to get in there and wash the car, and my mind started going on these directions of, what if somebody pulls out and takes one of the spots that I'm waiting for, and I'm clearly sitting here? Am I going to get upset? Am I going to home? And I said, you know what? You need to shut up and just chill. And so anyway, I washed my car, and as I'm washing my car, I feel like I'm okay. Like everything's, I'm just meditating in this unimportant but fulfilling task. Okay. And how quickly it dissolves. I get back in the car, and I was instructed to let her know so that I could find out where I'm going to get dinner from. And I'm heading to the main road, and she's doing this game where she's like, I don't know, what do you want? And I mean, that's just the stupidest game ever, because I would say, well, how about this place? And she'll say no. And then I say, well, just tell me what to get, and I'll just go there. And then I start getting like, you know what? Nothing sounds good. And and just, we're going back and forth. Okay. And I'm heading to the main road. So now I'm thinking, well, there's certain places that are on this main road. I'm going to limit my choices to that. I'm going to focus on that. I'm painting a picture because I'm trying to figure out where it happened that I lost it. Anyway, I said, you know what? Text me what you want from such and such place. Okay? And I said, I'm going to let you go. And I hung up. So then she messages what she wants from this place. I pull into the drive-thru, and let me tell you what upsets me about this, first of all. Because, I asked her, I said, you because she is very particular about the things she wants, right? And and if it's not right, I've seen her go off on delivery, not drivers, but the institution or the restaurant, right? It's just not a lot of fun. And I hate driving home, opening up, and she says, in like a sad voice or whatever, this isn't what I wanted or whatever. And I feel really bad. So it's just, and me, you could send me anywhere and I'd be like, yeah, all right. I want number 2 or number 4, number whatever it is. And I'll say most of the time I could say what I want and won't be upset. Although I'll tell you, it's funny. It's on a side note. I went to this burger place, and whenever they put 2 slices of cheese on their double burger, like it's like chewing gum. It's like just too much cheese. And I always tell them, just put 1 slice, please. And if they put 2, then I might as well buy a pack of gum, because that's all I'm doing is chewing gum the whole way when I'm having, But anyway, that's not here or there. Anyway, so she wants a chicken sandwich. That ain't hard. Crispy chicken sandwich, and she wants particulars, right? Like the pickles or whatever. I don't know, whatever. It's all written on the text. Everything should be easy, right? I drive up to the window. Hi, can I take your order? Yes. May I please have a crispy chicken sandwich? Meal. Guy comes back on the thing. I'm sorry, we don't have a crispy chicken meal. We have a crispy chicken, I don't know, he said something else. But I know whatever he's saying is not the right thing, right? So I say, well, it's supposed to be like a full-size crispy chicken sandwich, not like a baby mini one. And then he repeats, we don't have a crispy chicken sandwich. We have, and then he says this order, which involved a mini chicken with like other things. And I said, I'm going to have to ask you to hold. Could you hold on a minute? I'm going to call my wife. No problem, sir. So I call, and my phone and my Bluetooth on my vehicle are all trying to communicate, right? Because that's the default setting. When I'm driving, it connects the call to my Bluetooth. It's going to be a speaker. She's going to be coming out over the speakers. I didn't want this to happen, because then I know what she's going to say. The F they don't, they sure, I go there all the time. I know she's going to get mad because I'm going to tell her they don't have a crispy chicken sandwich, and she's going to go off on me. So then, and I don't want them to overhear it. So at first, I guess I could say that I was trying to be, concerned for the people over here, right? So I'm trying to click it off so that it's only playing on the phone. And she's like, hello, what's up? I'm, doing whatever she's doing. And I said, hold on, I'm trying to, and then I said, when I said hello, when she said hello, the guy on the thing goes, yes, go ahead and I'll take your order. And I said, no, I'm sorry, it's not, I'm on the phone. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. And I said, an obscenity, but not to him. I was saying it to the phone because I was upset, right? And it was a very low obscenity. It wasn't like anybody heard it. But then she's like, what's going on? And I said, I'm trying to switch you off speaker, but they say they don't have a crispy chicken sandwich. So then I said, what is it called? Is there a name that I can give this person so they can know what I'm talking about? Like, Bob's chicken sandwich, whatever. Like if it was something like just, and she's like, it's just called the crispy chicken sandwich. And then, and I go, hold on. I hang up, and I'm trying to switch it off. And I call back and I say, hello. The guy says, yes, I'm ready. I'll take your order. And I said, no, I'm not ready. I'm sorry. I'm trying to I'm on the phone. Give me 1 sec. And I'm getting like agitated because I need to sort it out. And then I'm looking at the menu, and I'm reading down now because I'm not looking at my phone, reading a text message saying what the order was. And I'm like, dude, what's the number 4? And he's like, a crispy chicken sandwich meal. And I say, can I get that? How about that? Because that sounds a lot like crispy chicken sandwich. I mean, you said it yourself, right? It's crispy chicken sandwich. Just, can you only have pickles? And I tell him those particulars, whatever. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about this other thing with it. And I was like, that's cool. It's all good, man. We're all friends. And I'm trying to stay on the phone and say, you know what? Just, I got this. I'll just get off my phone. Whatever. But I hang up, and then I said another obscenity, but he said, go ahead and drive up. So I thought, well, sure, he didn't hear it. And I was yelling at the phone. Like, it was just one of those, like, kind of, like, just, why, dude? And maybe I'm missing certain steps that elevated it to that level. Okay, now, mind you, there's nobody behind me. There's nobody ahead of me. This is like ghost town drive-through. Okay? So I go up to the window, and I'm just trying to decompress. I was just trying to be like, it's, I mean, if they rub one of the buns on their butt crack or something, I deserve it. It's all good. Whatever. It's not true, but I'm just saying. So I'm sitting there thinking the worst. Like, these guys probably think I'm a jerk because like I'm sitting here saying obscenities and being whatever. And every now and then I'm not even paying attention, but I'm like, cool. They took my form of payment, and I was just like upset looking, I guess. But then another guy comes to the window and says, sir, I'm going to need you to drive to the end. And he said it real like rude, and I'm like mean. And I look in the rear view, nobody's behind me, nobody's anywhere in the neighborhood. And I'm like, why, dude? I mean, I didn't say this, but I'm like, why do you need me to move? Was what I was thinking. But so all right. And then I put it, and then I think I said another obscenity, like, because I was in a bad mood, apparently. And I pulled forward, listen, for no reason. And the whole time that I was waiting there, nobody ever came up behind me. Nobody ever, I wasn't holding up the line or whatever. And the guy brought out the stuff and was just like, but in the tone that he said it, I knew that they were all sweethearts, it turned out. When the guy took my money, he was a good kid. He was just a good kid. And part of my obscenity when I was driving, when I left that area, was upset at myself. But you can't explain that to people. And then when the guy handed me the food, he was like, you have yourself a good one. It was something in the tone that he said it. Like, that was his, I'll show him. I'm going to tell him a nice thing in a very harsh way. And I was just like, man, yeah, I know, dude. I mean, I know. I wanted to be like, I'm sorry, but God, I beat myself up for the past like couple of days over it. Because I mean, what a douche! Like, why was I acting like that for no reason? I mean, just and it downplays it because I'm just saying I'm sort of an obscenity. But like, if you would have seen me, or like, it was just like ridiculous. Like, come on, man. Like, that's gross. Like, why do you got to be that guy? You're not that guy. Like, and it was stupid. It's what's funny is I was in the parking garage trying to leave downtown, and I should have known when I got behind this vehicle. They had stopped to talk to the attendant. Not even at the exit. They were just stopped talking to the attendant. And I was like, don't get behind that person, because they want to live here. They don't want to go anywhere. They just want to camp out. They don't want to, they have nobody to go home to. They're just, but there I go. I get in line behind them. They drive to the exit, and I'm telling you, they put it in park. They might as well have. Cars were coming both directions on the street you exit from the parking garage to get out of there. And this fool was letting everybody, how you doing? You want to go before me? Let's go. Go ahead. I got all day, this guy says. And I'm like, you can't be serious. And I was on the phone with my wife going, oh, dude, you ain't serious. Come on. You gotta try to get your car a little bit out there, or everybody's gonna think that you're not wanting to go. It's downtown traffic. You have to show some initiative. oh, this guy can't be serious. And I was getting more and more agitated. There was 2 lanes exiting the parking garage. The lane on the right started cutting off in front of my dude because he was taking his sweet time and not committing. And when I tell you, we sat there for 6 minutes and cars were chum chum. Everybody was leaving, going ahead. After about 4.5 minutes, okay, now I was trying to be patient. I was trying to be cool. About 4.5 minutes, I just gave a little love tap on my horn. Just come on. You know, I was getting, they wouldn't get it. Imagine you spend your day 4 hours singing. You load up all this stuff. You go up 6 flights of stairs. You just want to go home. You see the exit within spitting distance, and this fool wants to park in front of you. You can't go back. You can't go to the right. You can't go to the left. You have to wait for this fool to leave before you can leave. And I'm going to tell you, I was like the Dalai Lama for the first 3 minutes, telling my wife, can you believe this guy? We've been sitting here for 3 minutes. He won't commit. He won't go. He won't leave. He just won't do it. It's getting me mad. You know what I mean? 3 minutes, I'm just kind of watching. I'm just saying, what's going on? And then, you know. So I wish I could say that the drive-through restaurant situation was like an isolated incident. But, you know. Anyhow. And of course, when I get up to the front and the guy goes out, I just pull out in front of everybody. Like, oh, you want to hit me? Cool. I just want to show this guy how it's supposed to be done. Like, it's not hard. Oh, like 10 of you guys already went from your lane. You're not going next. I'm going. You ever heard of 1-on-1? Choom. And I just cut out in front of everybody. I said, nope. I'm not waiting. It was ridiculous. I am not, and I refuse to become an angry person. That's all I am. I don't want that. It's gross. I need to figure out a way to focus on that, you know. And I'm not hopeless. Like this morning, my daughter, I was helping her with her math homework, and I recognized so much of myself in you know, where like you're doing a problem and then you start getting all loopy, like I want to draw something on the corner here. It's like, you know, attention deficient. I get it. You don't want to do the homework. But what I'm trying to say is my wife was like, I was trying to teach her the process of how to deal with a problem. Like, because I think that's far more valuable than the lesson that's being taught. Okay? Like, if the question says, like, take each one of these examples, like each one of these separate clouds is what there were words written inside clouds. Take each one of these and match it to each one of the ones below that it applies to, right? So say you have like 5 or 6 on the bottom, all right? So then what I was trying to explain to her is that when you see a problem like this, you have to look at each one, you know, per each one, you have to try to apply it to each one. But even if it's obvious to you that you know that one of them goes to it, then it's just, you get all clutter minded, you know. You just got to take one at a time, but be sure to apply it to all 5 or 6 at the bottom and see which ones match all, you know, because it could be multiple. Because what happened was she got to like the second to last bubble cloud and applied it to the first couple and then wanted to move on to the next. And I said, no, that's fine. You did good. You did match the first 2, but you need to go to all of them. And she gets, you know, starts getting flustered and frustrated. And she wants to storm off. And I'm like, nah, that's not going to work. Like, you need to come back and you need to deal with this. And my wife shoots me a look like I'm the bad guy. And I'm, no, I'm trying to, that that behavior is unacceptable. And I'm not going to like coddle her and say, okay, let's try this again. I'm sorry, I don't want to upset you, whatever. And I know there's a certain level of patience you have to have and a certain understanding that you have to have, but I don't know. I think that that's where um, my wife and I, we have a different stance on certain aspects of parenting. But I think it balances it out, so I'm not a complete tyrant. But at the same time, I'm not going to let her just cuddle her to death. You know what I'm saying? Um, but my point of bringing up that example was that I didn't fly off the handle. I was really trying to keep it controlled because I was trying to tell. My wife has a really bad habit of that, where, okay, in that instance, right? So my daughter's throwing a tantrum and runs this way. I say, no, honey, you need to come back here and we need to finish this. All right. If you're a bystander in that situation, you may say that it's wrong for her to tantrum and run off. If you're a bystander, you might look at that situation and say, you don't need to raise your voice and say, I need you to come back here and finish this problem, right? But if you're co-parenting, the correct answer is that you back the parent, right? In my mind, you look at the bad behavior, right? If the child is throwing a tantrum, that's what you focus on, not the way that the other guy corrected the behavior. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're the child and you look back and the mom is shooting glaring eyes at the dad and like addressing the dad saying, you don't need to talk or whatever, it undermines the correction of the behavior. Maybe that's a little too technical. Maybe we're just, talking about these things and unnecessarily, but it's one of my pet peeves. My wife sometimes, more often than not, people underestimate my intelligence. And when I say that, I'm not saying like, I'm more saying that people think that I'm just in general, like, let me give you an example. So my daughter was getting some tests done at the hospital, right? And I start to bring up nutrition and the importance of nutrition regarding the what they're saying her symptoms are. And I'm having difficulty talking about it because I'm trying to be vague about it, right? And so she dismisses what I say out of hand. Just says there's no connection to what's going on with her and with bad nutrition, and malnutrition, and not eating the right foods. And so, like, why would you dismiss somebody like that? I've taken courses on nutrition. I've been alive for all these years, having to function and survive. And if all else fails, if I just learn from my mistakes, I should know a little bit more than nothing, right? So then I spend the next 15 minutes just Googling scholarly articles, from AP articles, medical journals. And then I just start sending her all this documentation showing the connections to these diseases and these medical, these biological like things happening in her body that are happening to her that can be explained by what she's eating and what she's not eating. I mean, and even to now, I tell you, I don't even know if I didn't follow up after that. I was at work, she was somewhere else, but more often than not, you have to put your foot down and try to express these things, but I guess, I don't know. It is frustrating. It used to happen all the time. I'd be at work. I'd be in a social situation, either at work or at school, or just out and about. And people that I know, I've known for a long time, I'll say something and they'll laugh. That's not even a word, or that's not true. And why would you question that? Okay, look it up. And then they would look it up and find that it was a word, it was used in the right context, or it was a correct concept, or whatever the case was. It is frustrating. There's this one guy who says, play stupid and be smart, right? It's like his whole thing was like that he wants to be underestimated by others, but that's all fine, well and good until choices have to be made or decisions have to be made, and your opinion on the matter isn't respected or considered because of your well-established persona that you've created and reinforced with constant reminders that you're not smart. I don't know. There's this eclipse happening this week, and everybody's all up and like just how there's thousands of people going to come to my city, and how it's going to affect traffic, and I was like, we just had an eclipse a couple months ago. Like, what are we talking about here? And although this one's special, and how it's going to, all the skies are going to go black, and I don't know. We got a couple shows out of it, because of the increase in traffic that they're expecting people to come stay downtown so they could be here for that event. And people have come into town this whole weekend, so we're going to see probably more people at my show today as well. But it's one of those things where I think my focus has been, especially with like these types of events where I don't know anything about them in the forecast, like in the foreseeable future, they were not on my radar, and then all of a sudden everybody knew about it. And here, you want some glasses? I've got some glasses. We ordered them a long time ago. We knew this was coming. This is gonna, that's what sort of causes me pause and freaks me out just a little baby bit, because I always think, how are all of these things happening, and I am not aware of them sooner, because they seem like such huge events. I mean, no real ramifications or repercussions, but I think it still should be on the radar, where I don't know, because I think it was middle of the week and I started hearing about it. But like, people are coming from all different parts to be in the line of this eclipse, and how even though I just had one a couple months ago, it's totally different than that. It's a particular kind, and it's a once in a generation or once in a lifetime. They describe it as all these different things. It's like, I guess, dude. All right. But anyway, my whole takeaway is just when does these type of things happen that I just don't know about them. And I'm just, anyway. I'm sitting here talking about how I have, being underestimated in my intelligence, and then the next thing that I talk about is my ignorance on a subject. But acknowledging your ignorance is, I think, far better than proclaiming your intelligence, because all I'm saying is that there's things that I don't know about, that I want to learn about, but I'm not saying I'm incapable of learning. But anyway, so this week I'm going to work on not being angry all the time. And we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully I can, but I'll definitely try to be nicer in my next drive-through instance. Anyway. All right. Well, y'all have a good week, and I will talk to y'all soon, okay?